Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Ironworker Gaming channel for another Destiny 2 viewer-requested weapon review, where once again we're going to be taking a look at Sunshot. Very early on in the life of this channel, I did review Sunshot on my own accord. That was before three things happened. 1, I really had a grasp on how I wanted to structure my weapon reviews. 2, this was before I had the catalyst unlocked. And 3, I did not cover the PvE aspect of the gun. So when Falcon Films, Bunny, and Noah Billy Bibb said, "Hey, Ironworker, how about taking another look at Sunshot?" I was happy to oblige, since this hand cannon is a fan favorite of many Guardians, for its performance in both the Crucible and PvE activities. Regardless of which side of Destiny 2 you take it into, Sunshot is a very satisfying and effective hand cannon. And oftentimes I hear people talking about how Sunshot feels good, or it's crispy. And I gotta be honest, I hate when someone says that a gun is good, citing that it's crispy, because that doesn't mean anything to me. I mean, I've never seen crispy as one of the weapon stat values, and I have a hard time wrapping my head around what makes one weapon crispy and another weapon not. I've always been from the school of thought that it's the stats, the perks, and maybe the visual animation that makes a gun feel good. So those are the type of things I like to get into on this channel, and really explore what makes a weapon tick. So that's exactly what we're going to do with Sunshot while analyzing its performance in both PvP and PvE. And if you find yourself enjoying this video, or you feel like you're getting something out of it, hitting the like and subscribe button are two totally free and easy ways to show this video and this channel some support. And with that, let's take a look at how to obtain Sunshot and its corresponding catalyst, for those who have not done so already. Sunshot was introduced into Destiny 2 at the launch of the game with the first batch of exotic weapons. Sunshot was then, and still is, a random world drop, so you can find it in exotic engrams, dropping as post-activity rewards, or it can be purchased from Xur. The catalyst for Sunshot was once a reward from Future War Cult in the long-since removed Faction Rally event. It now can be found as a random drop when completing strikes or Crucible matches. Unlocking the catalyst once you obtain it is going to require a bit of work. You're going to need 500 kills with the weapon, and 1,000 kills from the Sunblast explosions. I would definitely recommend making use of the Altar of Sorrows event on the moon to finish off this catalyst as quickly as possible. There's plenty of trash ads rolling out of those bubbles that will die from the blast of the explosion. And with that, let's take a quick look at this weapon's stats and perks. Sunshot is an exotic solar hand cannon shooting at 150 rounds per minute with 12 rounds in the magazine. For the stats, both the handling and the reload are extremely good straight out of the box. And once that catalyst is unlocked, we get that nice boost to range and stability, making both of these stats much more competitive. Taking a look at the hidden stats on light.gg, you can see we have an aim assist value of 60, a bounce intensity of 2, and a recoil of 98. Causing this weapon's recoil direction to be mainly vertical. Checking in with Destiny Tracker for the weapon's PvP usage rate, Sunshot is sitting at the 55th most used gun in Quick Play Crucible game modes over the past month. The intrinsic trait is Sunburn. This weapon fires explosive rounds and highlights targets that take damage from Sunshot. And our exotic perk is Sunblast. Targets killed by Sunshot explode in solar energy. With that covered, let's head to the Tribute Hall and get a sense of this weapon's functionality. Alright, first thing we're going to take a look at here is the damage output, and since PvE damage numbers are variable, we're going to have to compare it to a few other hand cannons. First thing you're going to notice though is that Sunshot does have split damage numbers, because Sunshot carries an explosive payload, which has no damage fall off, but we're going to touch on that in a little bit. So Sunshot's damage is totaling up to 2,608 points of damage on a crit, and 1,715 points of damage to the body. Luna's Howl, another Energy 150 hand cannon, is doing 2,341 on a crit, and 1,461 to the body. This Dire Promise is doing 2,509 points of damage on a crit, and 1,565 points of damage to the body. But Thorn is doing a total of 3,709 points of damage on a crit, and 2,761 points of damage to the body. So while Sunshot is putting out a fair amount of damage, it does not keep up with Thorn at base. Do keep in mind though, Thorn is an absolute monster when it comes to PvE damage output from a primary weapon. It does make for a great barometer to measure other hand cannons against though. Taking a look at Sunshot's recoil when aiming down sights and spam firing the gun, we do have a nice tight vertical pattern. When firing from the hip though, we do see our pattern spread out just a touch and become a shade more sporadic. Looking at the Sunblast exotic perk, we do see that when we score a kill on an enemy, they create a solar explosion. For the range, we will do full crit damage from up to 28 meters away. Past that, we are going to start to see damage fall off on the bullet. But as I said earlier, the explosive side of the damage has no fall off, so regardless of the range, we're still going to get that 900 points of damage in this case. And with that, let's take a look at how Sunshot performs in PvE. So in your standard PvE activities, Sunshot is an extremely good crowd control primary weapon. It does put out a decent amount of damage, allowing you to dispose of most trash ads with a single crit. You're gonna have to bury a few more rounds into mid-tier enemies, and you'll probably spend most of your clip on tankier targets, but Sunshot can handle them in most cases without you having to switch weapons. And when you do down a target, that's when the fun begins, because they will explode. And we're not talking about just some little puff of smoke when the enemy detonates. This is a big boom. And it doesn't stop there, because these detonations actually do chain. Any enemy killed by the blast will also detonate themselves. So Sunshot does have the ability to vaporize whole packs of ads in a single shot. It is truly a sight to behold when those explosions start chaining together. And since rounds fired from Sunshot do carry an explosive payload, you can use this from extended ranges if you need to, since the whole focus of this weapon is getting those sunblast chains rolling. And you will need to commit a few more shots from outside your optimal range to get that first enemy to pop, but once it does, it doesn't matter. Also, Sunshot is doing solar elemental damage, which is always nice because there are two very annoying solar shielded enemies in the game, in the form of hive wizards and taken captives. So that little bit of extra damage that it can do when breaking a shield is much appreciated. For some drawbacks, Sunshot does lose its luster against targets with larger health pools. Its strength lies in the elemental explosions, and generating them as often as possible. So if there's a major target on the field that just needs to die like right now, Sunshot's probably not your best option. And the same could be said against bosses. While the damage per shot is a little bit better than a standard hand cannon, it just doesn't deliver enough sustained or burst damage to be viable in this case. And unfortunately, the trend continues into endgame PvE activities. Even red bar targets in some cases are going to require multiple shots, so you won't be sparking off or chaining together those explosions nearly as often. Plus, Sunshot is taking up your exotic slot, and in activities like raids or high-level nightfalls where every shred of damage counts, Sunshot's probably not the weapon you're going to be wanting to spend your exotic slot on. But with that, let's take it into the Crucible and see what Sunshot's got going on in there. Alright, starting off with our PvP damage numbers. On a crit, Sunshot will do 47 points of bullet damage and 21 points of blast damage for a total of 68 points of damage. On a body shot landed, we'll do 22 points of bullet damage and 21 points of blast damage again for a total of 43, giving us an optimal time to kill of 0.8 seconds requiring 3 crits and a body shot time to kill of 1.6 seconds requiring 5 shots landed. As you can see, we will still do full blast damage from the explosive payload on a near miss. That will diminish to 0 about 2 meters away. A secondary enemy guardian will take 100 points of damage from the sunblast explosion when they are right next to the primary target. And do take note of the fact that Smelly Drifter is taking some damage from the explosive payload here also. The blast radius here appears to be roughly 5 meters, and an enemy guardian right on the edge will take 54 points of damage. And your max range to hit your optimal time to kill on an enemy guardian running 6 resilience or less is going to be 29 meters. For Sunshot's overall performance in the Crucible, the gun is very solid. It's sitting in arguably the best hand cannon archetype, with the most competitive optimal time to kill. Also, the damage fall off on this gun won't be as steep as a standard hand cannon, due to the fact that the explosive nature of the round here again has no damage fall off. And while this really doesn't extend the optimal range of the weapon all that much, it might have a better 4 or 5 tap potential from extended ranges than other 150 hand cannons. Plus, explosive rounds will flinch your enemy target off of their shot, which in turn could help you win more 1v1 engagements. The reload speed on Sunshot is pretty good, getting you back into the action quicker after slinging more rounds into the gun, and the handling makes this gun feel very fluid and responsive, which is great for more aggressive players who really need that quick ADS speed and weapon swap speed. We also have 12 rounds in the magazine, so if you're one of those players who never misses your crits, you could potentially down 4 Guardians without needing to reload. Also, getting that Catalyst unlock does Sunshot a world of good. The bonus stability you're getting really makes this weapon settle back in quick for the next shot, and the bump to the range stat really helps out, adding a certain degree of accuracy to your shots, as well as bullet magnetism. The collateral damage from the Sunblast perk is also very nice, especially in 6v6 game modes where the blast has a better chance of catching multiple targets. Plus, you get the added benefit of this proccing on any kill, not just a precision kill like your standard Dragonfly perk. But we do also have some drawbacks in the Crucible. The first being that this gun doesn't really grab targets or have as much bullet magnetism as other 150 RPM hand cannons. The boost of the range stat does help in this department, but that aim assist value of 60 is considerably lower when you're comparing it to something like Spare Rations or Dire Promise. So you may find yourself landing shots less consistently if your aim doesn't tend to be spot on. And even more so if you don't have the catalyst or don't have the catalyst unlocked yet. Also, Sunshot does seem to lose a fair bit of accuracy when firing from the hip or firing from the air, at least in my experience. And I gotta say, the sights on this gun are something that has always bugged me. I mean, it looks cool, it adds a lot of character to the gun, but it just tends to blend in easily with the environment in my opinion. And while I'm not constantly staring at that dot when I'm engaging in gunfights, when I'm looking for it, I want it to be there. So for the verdict, Sunshot is an extremely enjoyable weapon to use, and I've always had a blast using it. No pun intended. But after really sitting down and analyzing what this gun is capable of, I'm not 100% sure that I could call this a top tier hand cannon. In PvE, it does show some weakness in more difficult content and against tankier targets. And in PvP, there are hand cannons out there that do a better job at helping you consistently land your shots. But two things need to be said here. The best hand cannon in the game is the one that you land your shots with. And if you're consistently landing crits with Sunshot, there's no reason to stop using it. And secondly, don't discredit the benefit of using a gun that you find to be enjoyable. I know for me personally, if I'm having fun, I play better. And Destiny is a video game, and sometimes we get wrapped up so deeply in the numbers and stats and optimization that we forget that video games were made to be fun. And while I still don't know where Sunshot sits on the crispy meter, the fun factor stat is through the roof. So if you did enjoy this weapon review and you'd like to aid it in reaching more people, the like button is a great way to do that. And if you'd be interested in joining a growing community full of awesome people, consider subscribing to the Ironworker Gaming channel. If you'd want to catch me live, you can look for Ironworker814 on Twitch, drop me a follow and you'll get notified whenever I hop on. You could also look for Ironworker814 on Twitter, but the best way to contact me is simply to comment down below. I read and respond to all my comments because I respect your time and I appreciate your feedback. And with all that being said, I'd like to thank you for spending a piece of your day checking out this video. You guys are awesome, and I will catch you on the next one.